Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Gemma Forte. Now today we're talking about how children are consuming content at an increasingly early age. Of course, phones, TVs and tablets are everywhere nowadays. And this is something which can often make parents feel anxious and quite guilty. But of course, children's TV has long been a source of entertainment for the nation's youngsters, and many British children's shows and apps can actually be very beneficial to your child's development. So, as a parent, how can you identify the types of content that can be of real value? So joining me today is children's development expert, Dr Jaqueline Harding. Welcome along.
Hi there.
It's lovely to see you today. And please remember that we are live. So if you've got any questions at all that you'd like answered, please use the boxes below on your screen to get in touch. So, Jacqueline, this is a fascinating subject, really. And of course, I've had two children myself, and I know that at times I did feel sort of a bit confused or worried about what they should be watching and so on. So tell me, how educational can computers and programs on TV and mobile phones to an extent be to children, and what are the benefits?
Okay, well, the thing is, children are now born into a digital world,
yes.
So their world looks very different, and their expectations of how the world operates, that we swipe things, we touch things, is very different to the way that we were brought up. So that's an important point. So their expectations, they've got high expectations of media,
yes.
And the benefit around TV shows and apps really depends on the content.
Okay.
It's all about the quality.
Yeah.
And the other secret ingredient is the co-viewing, the actually spending time with your child, interacting with these devices and with these TV shows makes all the difference. But it really is about the content. What is it that's magical for the child? Is it going to do something for their language, social, emotionally, or physically? Because children want to get involved. This day and age, it's all about interaction. They're not really into this passive business. They want to get active.
Fantastic. So you think that maybe a preschool child, for instance, if they're watching something that did really involve them, that could help their development?
Absolutely. It's all about how active can they be.
Okay.
Are they looking at the screen? Are they pointing at it? Are they smiling? Are they genuinely curious about it?
Okay.
So I think some of those signs that really parents can look out for are the ones where, are they truly engaged? Is it something they want to talk about? Are they saying, look, mum, look, dad, red, orange?
Yeah.
So that kind of spontaneity is really important. So we look at the prime areas in the early years foundation stage, which the first one, language and communication. We all need to be able to communicate our needs.
Yes.
And TV shows that are designed to provoke that kind of language are fantastic. So the child doesn't just sit there passively, they really want to talk about it. Then you've got the physical development. So the child is very unlikely, if the TV show or the app is great, that they'll just sit still. They really want to get involved.
Yeah.
And the other important prime area is the personal, social and emotional development. Are children learning about the kinds of behaviours they're going to need in the future, about how to connect with others, empathy, having sympathy for other people? Those kinds of things are really important.
It's fascinating. Well, I know you've done so much research into this subject, and you've actually brought some clips in of young children watching TV together with their families. So we're going to have a look at that now. And I believe this is some children watching In the Night Garden. So let's have a little look at that.
Watch out for some of those conversations, the child, the parent and the screen. That kind of conversation going
Fantastic.
There can't be more in that house.
7.
7. No, there couldn't be enough room in that house.
Oh, very sweet. So that actually clearly demonstrated exactly what you were talking about before. They're not just sitting there, are they, sort of staring blankly at the screen. They're really involved.
And it's also what happens after the screen time.
Right.
Are they carrying it on?
Yeah.
What in what ways are they playing? Are they using it for role play and imaginative play? Are they extending that experience? And parents can really help extend that experience as well.
Okay, so that was of course watching In the Night Garden, which I remember my kids used to love, and it was very relaxing actually, just before bedtime as
Calming,
well.
isn't it?
But what in your view makes a TV show particularly engaging for a child? You know, why would that one be so appealing?
Well, for this one, it's all about, in the Night Garden is all about the language. And you notice that they'll say their names, and for little children, their names are really important.
Yeah.
They love to say their names. And the other aspect of In the Night Garden is about this calming down, that transition from daytime to nighttime, and parents do find it problematic getting children to bed. So anything that can kind of ease that transition period and help get them in the mood for sleeping.
I know for my little nephew, that's almost part of his bedtime routine.
Indeed.
So it's almost like bath, tea, bottle, In the Night Garden. So it's great. And you've also come up with a chart. Now, this was certainly not the kind of thing that I ever saw when I had little babies. And I think this is so useful. So we're going to have a look at it now. And this is something that you've come up with, isn't it? To sort of help parents. So just talk me through it a bit.
Well, it's taken me years to research into children's television shows and screen applications and really begin to identify what is it, when does it work, and when does it not work. And that can often be about the pacing. So the images, are they moving at the right pace for your child? Is it too fast? Is it just right? Is it relevant? Is this something that your child cares about?
Yes.
Is it something they know about?
Yeah.
Communication. Did your child feel like they wanted to talk about the show? Did they point to something? Did they smile? Did they talk about it after the show? So did it build on their communication skills? Humour, was it funny? Now, what's funny to a young child often isn't funny to adults. So the kind of bumping tummies or falling over, it just brings the house down.
Yeah.
And humour is important, and children do have a right to leisure just as much as adults do, and a right to have a good laugh. Interaction. Did your child talk about it or gesture or move towards the screen? You can tell when a child is truly immersed in a TV show, that it isn't just kind of washing all over. It means something to them. And that interaction is critical, because children of today, as I say about digital children, they want to be involved. They really want to have a kind of an ownership, if you like, over what goes on in the screen. Engagement. Did they keep looking away, or were they right? Oh my gosh, this is something for me. This says something to my biology. And it's often really quite at a biological level.
It's so sweet. I remember my son, it was Fireman Sam, and he would just, it was the only time he was completely silent, and he literally was mouth open. It was just fascinated. I don't know why.
That's right.
For him, that was it.
Absolutely. It's those moments of being transfixed because it means something to them. And then that involvement, do they point to the screen? Do they talk to you? Do you have a conversation with the child around it? So that's an area that I've researched for a long time, and I'm really hoping that parents will find it useful, because they can kind of like measure whether this is doing some positive good towards their whole development, socially, emotionally, linguistically, not just about cognition, not just about do they recognise the colours, but is it really preparing them for the future? Is it helping them to be creative and imaginative and really kind of buzzed about what's going on in their world?
Well, you've brought another clip in, and again, I think it's a lovely demonstration of exactly what you're talking about. So we'll have a little look, and then we'll get your comments after.
Door,
There's somebody at the door.
He's at the door.
Down. 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 Down.
Oh, it's very sweet to watch, actually, isn't it?
It is, and it's actually really meaningful
Yeah.
to that child. The knocking at the door, the falling down. Not only is it absolutely hilarious, it's part of his world where he knows that people knock at the door, and the hiding and the falling down. It's a dialogue. So he's having a dialogue with the screen. He's actively involved with it. It isn't just sitting back and just letting it happen.
No.
And as I say, those are the kinds of things to watch out for in high quality TV shows that have hit the mark developmentally. You can see that kind of reaction, which is absolutely delicious for parents to see.
Well, it is, and to hear actually as well. I mean, we all know having small children is very, very tiring. You could have gone to the park for 4 hours and done some craft and done the tea and this and that. So it's quite nice to know that actually if you're tired too, sitting down with your child and watching something with them, it's fine.
Absolutely.
Just making sure it's something that they're actually enjoying and sort of participating with. So I think that's really good.
And there's a lot of research, and my own research has substantiated the importance of having TV shows that really resonate with the developing child. Nobody wants to waste young children's time.
No.
This is a time when their brains are developing,
Yeah.
and they're like sponges. They want to learn. We don't want to waste their time. And if they're engaged in TV shows that say something to them, it's like, oh my gosh, this has been made for me. I understand it. I can engage with it, and it does move their development on.
Fantastic. Well, the Teletubbies came out, I think it was about 20 years ago now. And of course, I remember that it was so huge, wasn't it? It was, I mean, when you talk about hitting the nail on the head in terms of speaking to small children, it was a phenomenon.
Yes.
It really was huge. But what are the major differences between TV then and now?
As I say, the expectations are still developing. Children want a lot more ownership. That's why if they can swipe, if they can talk to the screen,
Right.
those characters really have to mean something to them.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the Teletubbies. Of course, now the new Teletubbies has embraced new technology. So we have that supersized tubby phone. How exciting! Everybody wants one of those.
Right.
And we have the screen on the tubbies, which is touch screen, so it's bang up to date. And the dup, of course, the going up and down in that lift, how exciting is that? So bringing what has been known as something that was developmentally correct and building on that so that children of today still can take something a little bit extra from it. How exciting is it? So they've still got that wonderful language which taps into their pre-verbal skills.
Yeah.
That baby language, that's really important, and research has shown that pre-verbal stage of recognising the uh-oh and the body language.
Hello, wasn't it?
Hello,
Uh-oh,
yeah,
I remember
and
that,
again, all of that means that the child then pays attention to the narration. So
Yes.
there are other clues around it. It means they're alert, they're on it.
Yeah.
So it's very cleverly designed to build on it and have something that can embrace and excite a new generation. That's amazing.
And would you say that some of these characters in various sort of children's TV shows can be important role models? I mean, I mentioned Fireman Sam for my boy, and I remember he had a plastic helmet. I think he wore it in his cot for about a year.
Did he?
Yeah, wouldn't be parted from it. It was sort of quite cumbersome actually, and quite uncomfortable. But so I think for him, Fireman Sam was a role model. But there are so many different characters that children love, and do you think they're quite important?
They are, because children will take them seriously.
Yeah.
So when you see, for example, the Teletubbies having that big hug.
big hug, yeah,
Do you know,
it's very
that's
kind.
saying to children, you know, kindness is important, and to be empathetic. And we know now, and research has shown that having those skills of empathy, which means just to understand how other people feel, stands you in good stead as you become a teenager.
Right.
And it starts in early childhood. So the Teletubbies are saying, you know, let's care for each other.
Yeah.
You know, we love each other. And now we have the Tiddlies. We have those as well.
Sweet.
Exactly. So that's an extension
Yeah.
of that ability to look after others. So those little tiddly tubbies, how exciting is that? So we've
Yeah.
now got a new generation and a new excuse to look after and nurture.
Yes.
And so yes, absolutely.
Because toddlers
So
quite like
important.
feeling like the big boy or girl, don't they? So
They
maybe
do,
it
and
reflects
they
that.
are role models, absolutely. We mustn't underestimate the impact of TV shows and what it's actually saying to a child. So as you look at TV shows, what is it saying to your child?
Yeah.
And really, as a parent, you need to feel safe that they're giving those messages of nurturing, caring, enjoyment, love. Those kind of skills are ones that are going to set you in good stead for the rest of your life.
And so how much do you think children actually understand, or are they getting all of these messages subliminally, or are they actually sort of computing what you're saying and understanding those messages?
Well, under 5, children are experts at reading body language.
Right.
Because their language obviously isn't as well developed,
Yeah.
they're watching.
That's why, as a mum, you can go.
They read
go,
you.
"Oh, okay."
They read you so well, and they're reading the language of their favourite characters. So very early on, so your little ones are watching really the kind of messages that are being given out. So you can kind of, you know, test it for yourself. You know, turn the volume down, watch the TV characters. What do you think those messages are?
Okay.
And that's quite a good test, really. You know, is it one of nurturing? Is it one of caring? Is it one of enjoyment? Is it one of curiosity? We want our children to be imaginative and curious, just like actually the Teletubbies are curious about their world.
Absolutely. Well, again, as part of your research, we've got another clip, and this time perhaps we'll watch it together and you can talk me through it a little
Okay,
bit.
yeah,
because
that's a
it
good
is
idea.
fascinating. Again, watching
It
these little
is.
people watch one of their favourite shows, and in this case, it is the Teletubbies. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much for them to see, isn't there? With all the colours.
And here he goes counting. So proud of himself. And there's a little baby reacting to the body language, and they're wanting to talk about it. They want to share with mum what's going on. And here we are, we're role playing what we're actually seeing on the train there, and the bubbles. They're not passive, they're actively involved in it, and they're talking about it, and they're mimicking. The role playing, obviously important, the falling over. You can see the engagement on their faces, and now they're behaving just like the Teletubbies. They want to feel, and the bumping of tummies. How exciting is that? And of course, the saying goodbye.
Oh, it's so lovely. And Helen in Croydon's actually got a question, which is she's asking what she could do to improve her children's viewing experience, both during the show and away from the screen. So have you got any tips?
That's a very good question. And really sitting with your child, letting them take the lead. It's often very tempting to go, what colour's that? What's happening now? But sometimes you can just take a little step back, let your child take the lead, let them point it out to them, or ask open-ended questions such as, oh, what do you think is going to happen next?
Right.
So it lets them have more control over their viewing experience. And then afterwards, I mean, for example, we've just seen a lovely clip there where they wanted to pretend to be on that train.
Yeah.
So why not just enable them to play trains together? You just need cushions. You don't need expensive equipment. You can use boxes.
It's all in their imagination.
It's
isn't
all
it?
about the imagination.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
Susie and Devon would also like to know which shows you might recommend and are good for very young children, and why.
And why? Okay, well, fortunately, we do have television shows that really do help children's development, and some really focus on language, some will focus on social emotional development. We've just seen a clip from In the Night Garden that can really help with social emotional development, because the brain in the first 3 years of life is focused on social and emotional development.
Right.
And it's saying, how do I behave in this world? What kinds of things should I care about? So TV shows like In the Night Garden can really help the child feel calm and come to terms with their own often really conflicting emotions.
Yes.
So TV shows like that can really sort of home in on the social emotional development. And then you've got the Twirly Woos, which is all about schemas. Now, schemas are repeatable actions.
Okay.
So if parents have ever wondered why their child is forever putting things in boxes and taking them out, putting them in things and out again, those are like enclosure schemas, or wanting to make tents or hide underneath things,
Yeah.
or throw things. That's a trajectory schema. Now, Twirly Woos has been developed around that understanding of the fact that schemas are innately interesting to children. So that's very much about their cognitive, their intellectual development. So as they watch that, and we saw the little boy with the door and the falling over, that can really stimulate the higher cognitive functioning, and that's really exciting. So we can't see what goes on in the brain unless we put them in an MRI scan, but we can see the impact it has upon them in terms of their enjoyment and their engagement.
Yeah.
So shows like that can really help. So, and as we've just talked about Teletubbies, if we want to nurture perhaps their language, as we say, we can really help them with those pre-verbal skills, build it up with the vocabulary and the social emotional experience of big hugs and feeling good about the world. So there are many TV shows that have specific things that it can do for a child.
Well, fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And I'm sure that's answered Susie's question really nicely. Thank you so much. So that's all we've got time for today. So many thanks to Dr. Jaqueline Harding for joining me. And if you found this subject interesting, but you've still got more questions, you can find more information on teletubbies.com. And don't forget, there are new episodes of Teletubbies as well coming up on CBeebies from Monday, the 9th of May. I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.